Alright. Let's get started. In this video I'm going to tie a white bead-headed woolly bugger with olive hackle. This is going to be my third ever There will be quite a few folks that watch this who have tied hundreds or even into thousands of these flies. I highly expect all of you to criticize me, because that's how we get better, is through feedback. So the first thing I'm going to do, this hook is a White River 004 size 6 streamer hook. I don't know how well that focuses, but I've mashed the barb down, and I have here Cyclops beads from Wapsie Company. These are size 3/16 inch for hooks size 6, 8, and 10. Okay. When feeding the bead on the hook, you always put the small, they're flanged. They have a smaller hole in the front and a wider hole on the rear. It's kind of like people. Feed the hook into the small hole so that you've got the wide opening on the back that allows you to do your tie downs. Secure the hook in the vise. One of the things you'll see during the video is that this thing is going to adjust, and it's because it's the $20 travel type vise from Bass Pro, and it's not really secured to the table. While tying this fly, I'm going to use I think it's Daniel's 210 denier 100 yards olive. I like it when things match, but I also like to tie flies, and you gotta do what you can with what you got, and I don't have white, so I'm gonna do it with olive. It's got an olive hackle. I don't think the fish are gonna stare at the fly and go, dude, that guy made a horrible choice. Look at his hackle, or look at his thread. It doesn't match the chenille. Sit there and talk about it while I'm casting and thread my bobbin here. Gotta be careful when threading the bobbin, because you could fray your thread. Okay, well, we're gonna get started here. I'm gonna a few wraps and then start laying down my thread base. And by the way, thank you, big thank you out to everybody on Fly Anglers Online bulletin board who have helped me come to understand more about hackle and how to handle it. I'm going to do pretty thick thread base here. Go back up, and at this point I like to just kind of secure things down, so I'm going to put a bit of fly head cement across my thread base. Put down the third pass. You'll notice I'm not using lead or copper or lead-free weighted wire. I got the bead heads because I want it to go straight down. These are great for tossing at bass. And I'm going to take about 5 inches of chenille. Get that ready. And this is, by the way, on the chenille, this is Woolly Bugger chenille. It's got sparkle in it. This is medium. This is strung white marabou, 1/4 ounce. I don't know what the ounce means, but the stuff they had on the wall. So I grabbed some. I'm going to take a plume of marabou, just like that. And I'm going to make sure this is twice the length of the shank. So I'm going to, it's about 1 length. I'm going to grab it at that length, lay it down. I'm going to tie it off right about there. Kind of moisten the feathers a little bit here, makes it a little bit easier. Some people pinch it, some people don't. I don't care if it wraps a little bit. Oh, okay, so this has happened to me a couple times, and I think it's because of my bobbin. It's where my thread shreds. So what I do in this case is I will gently unwrap my marabou. Still good. I'm going to, you could probably whip finish, do a finger whip finish on this. I'm actually going to do as if I'm tying in again. Shred, trim this off here. Trim off the ripped piece in a second. Got it tied down over it. Kind of pull it off the hook a ways. I'm leaving that in the video because I think some people who just start fly tying like me are going to run into that. They need to know that they can keep tying. That's okay. Okay. So maybe I will pinch wrap this. 1, 3 times, 2, 3. Okay. I'm going to go up a little bit, back, trim that off. Okay, now at this point I'm going to get my hackle. I'm using strung rooster saddle. It's olive or natural. And the Orvis Fly Tying Guide by Tom Rosenbauer says that you should do certain things with this hackle, that it turns out better certain ways, and I don't doubt him. For the purposes of this video, I'm not going to be very picky. So, got myself a good hackle feather. Now, this isn't a very long woolly bugger. You'll notice that there's some fluff at the tip of that. You're going to grab the feather a little bit above the fluff and just pull that right off. I'm not too worried about missing some of the middle at the end. Usually that'll just pull off of the stem. That snapped the tip of that right off. But take this and gently stroke the fibers down towards the butt of the feather. Just like that. There's going to be a little bit left at the tip. And take that, wrap it down good and tight. The same spot we tied in the marabou. I'm going to take the chenille, strip off a little bit from the core. do the same thing. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now we're going to go from there up to the front, because everything else is going to be palmered, or it's going to be wrapped by hand. I'm actually going to take the bead up and I'm going to sit here and wrap behind the bead quite a bit, build it up. That makes it so that the bead won't slide back on the hook. Alright, now for the chenille, I'm going to wrap away once that way. When you're palmering the chenille, the threads should touch. Overlap is okay a little bit, but not too much. Hold the thread in my right hand and pass the bobbin over 3 times with my left. Snug it down. Okay, another trick. What you're trimming, keep it up. Bobbin is down, you don't cut your line. Okay, so next we're going to start palming the hackle. You can use hackle pliers for this. I do sometimes. I'm going to this time. I don't have a lot to work with. And this bad boy, you're going to check the feather, stroke the feather until you can see which way the so you can see which way they bend. There's going to be a concave side, and you want the feathers to point towards the back. So what you do is you wrap it around and you stroke them backwards as you go. And you go with the chenille. I'm not very good with hackle yet, so don't expect perfection from this guy. As you wrap, you always tie the head of the feather, the thin, small side of the feather. You tie it down first, so that the pieces of the feather get gradually longer and longer and longer. Creates a good flared body on the flared hackle and a more lifelike head. Just need to twist the hackle a little bit to get it to go the direction you want it, and that's okay. But I have tied on some stupid hackles and gotten them to do just fine just by pulling the feathers back as I go. Okay, so we're almost done here. Okay, now at this point, I'm going to do the same thing I did before with everything else. 2, 3. I got this bit of the hackle sticking out in the front, and let's trim that off. And then I'm gonna wrap like a son of a gun behind that head. And that's about as son of a gun-ish that you got all the son of a gunners that you need to do. I use a whip finish tool, just like that. I'm not going to do a how-to on that one in this video. I might at a different time. So another 1, 2, 3, 4 is good enough. Pull that tight. Some people like to just pull it off. I like to trim it, so I'm going to trim it. flyhead cement. Degoober, the flyhead cement applicator pointy thing. Like that terminology. We're going to put a dab on the threads. If you get a little on the head, that's okay. It's not going to hurt it. You can never do too much. And there you have it. A white bead head size 6 woolly bugger. Pretty good.